Today what we're talking about is how to make food look good, right? And that's kind of an important point because when it looks good, really, people are way much more you're more attractive to a plate of food that's gonna look like nice and colorful and different shapes and things like that than to have a big pile into your food. So it's important, especially if you're receiving people. If you want to have a cocktail party or thing like that, that's what we're going to talk about today. While in the same time, obviously, staying in our macrobiotic rules and using whole grains and vegetables and things like that. So the first thing that I want to show you today, and because that's usually something that's not understood properly, is how do we cut? That's kind of important because a nice cut, not only is it attractive for other people, but it's also much safer for you, right? Because that means that you know how to handle your knife. So I'm just going to show a couple tricks how to cut properly. So this is the carrot and the carrot. So here there's two types of knife, right? This is, even though this is a Japanese knife, this is called a French style knife, right? So he has that kind of like boat shape like this. And then we have things like a musuba, for example, that's going to be much more flat blade. So for those guys, or both of those guys, your left hand, if you're right-handed like me, your left hand should look like a claw a little bit, right? And we're going to make sure that this phalange is forward compared to the tip of our finger. So, and we're going to use it as a guide for the blade, right? So we're going to take whatever we want to cut, we're going to make our claw shape like this. Our knife is going to go against the finger, and we're going to keep contact points with the board with the tip of the finger. We're going to have a down and forward motion in the same time. So if you look at my wrist, I'm breaking my wrist, right? So that's literally the wrist and knee is working. If you try to move with your whole arm, you're going to get tired very fast, and then you're going to cut yourself. So if we use that technique right here, both of those techniques together, we're going to have a nice cut. All right? So I'm going down and forward in the same time. That allows you to control the thickness of what is it that you're going to cut. And in the same time, it allows you to stay much safer because as soon as you don't feel the blade against your finger, like if you were going like this too high, for example, you just stop. Right? So that's important. That's an important trick to stay safe. For the other side of knife, it's pretty much the same thing, but instead of using a down and forward motion, we're just going to apply going down straight up like this. And we're just not going to go up and down to the blade. So we're going to use the whole blade. So as you can see, I'm using as much of the length of the blade as I can. That's an important one because I often see people cutting like this. So if you're using just the heel of the knife, you're not cutting, you're breaking, right? That's an important difference. When we talk about respecting the energy of vegetable and the things around us, when we are able to cut, we preserve the structural integrity of the vegetable and allows us to keep it in much better integrity, right? All right, get rid of that real fast. Couple more things in there. All right, so that's it for cutting. Now I want to introduce you to a couple of tools that I think everybody should have in their kitchen if they want their food to look pretty cool. So this is that little tool right here. You can see there's a little divot into it. Sometimes it's called a zester. Sometimes it's called an agrume expressor. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slide around my vegetable and peel out those little things right there. So when I cut a slice, I'm gonna have, get to it, that flower shape kind of a thing, right? That's what we're looking for. You can do that on like lemons, carrots, anything that's round, cucumbers. You often see that on cucumbers in restaurants. If you go in a restaurant and you see those little wheel marks on cucumber, that's the tool that they've been using. So I recommend getting one of those as well. And finally, one of those guys. So it's called sometimes a melon baller, sometimes it's called an apple corer. So they have both they have two different sizes on it, those bigger one, the smaller one. So that's used to empty stuff out. So here, I'm going to show you exactly what that does. So let's take, by example, we want to make like a cool quinoa salad with cucumber, right? And we're going to make it just look a little different. So I'm going to take a cucumber where it's nice and wide. So I'd rather use English cucumbers for those because they're usually longer and more regular in size. And I'm going to take a big slice like this. I'm going to take my melon border. Here we go. I'm going to empty the cucumber, all right? So since I don't want to waste this and we want to eat the whole thing, I'm going to take my cucumber here, cut it a little, and then I can add, I have some quinoa here and leftover from yesterday. Like that, we're going to take your cucumber, and mix it with it. All right. So one thing to make quinoa pretty, I always find that umeboshi works very well. So you really don't need much umeboshi. I remind you that umeboshi vinegar is a pretty potent element, and you really don't need much of it. So here we go. So we're gonna take that, and then we're just gonna fill our cucumber like this. All right, so it's already good. Now let's talk about a couple of different things to make your food look even better. There's a couple of different rules when we talk about presenting food, and they're the same as in graphic design. So any of you have like follow courses on graphic design, you will see that some of the things I'm saying are very common. So the first thing is we're looking for contrast, right? If we want something to pop, it has to have a background that's contrasting its value. So here, by example, for this little guy, I'm going to use a blue plate, right? In contrast to a white plate. Now let's look at the difference. This is in the white plate. It looks cool. Okay, it's fun. Now it's looking at the blue plate. Now it's popping, right? You can see the difference, right? So little difference like that, or really just changing the background plate is going to make a huge difference. Then contrast of elements as well is important. So that's where we can use, by example, pieces of carrot that I had left. I'm showing you the cut. So I'm going to use the same cutting technique. I'm going to make a nice and very small cut like this. That's easy to do if you already have a slice, right? And if you're not comfortable with a knife, you can use a shredder and things like that. The knife is just going to give a nicer, more pure expression, visual expression of it. So I'm going to take that, for example, I'm going to put some right there. All right, so now I have contrast in 3 colors instead of 2, right? And then organic forms. Organic forms are usually very attractive to the eye. So this is a little thing that I've picked up out of my garden this morning right before we started here. So we got some basil flower. This is beautiful. I want to show you that. Very easy to grow. You can grow that in containers and things. I use them as microgreens themselves. This is called magenta spreen. This beautiful little plant is a bomb of nutrition. It brings you like a lot of things that you need for your day, right? So magenta spreen, you can check that out. It's very easy to grow. It's a microgreen. We got some chives. We got some beautiful microgreens out of turnips. Same thing, you can grow that in containers. Getting greens is a very, very important part of your diet. So if you have a windowsill, if you have a piece of land, if you have enough room to put a container anywhere, you can grow your own microgreens. It's very simple. Just put some seeds, some soil, and water it every day. And then you get those beautiful things, which are very powerful and going to give you a whole bunch of energy. It's going to give you all your vitamin A, it's going to give you your macro minerals. It's going to give you that lightness that we're all looking for in life, right? So all those little guys, and you can see them, it's beautiful, it's attractive, like all those shapes are just attractive by themselves. So when we're going to use something like that with a food elements, we want to choose something that amounts in size, right? So by example, if I put this on it, now I don't even see my food, right? So that doesn't work very well. So let's not forget that the star of the show is always the food. So decoration and presentation shouldn't be bigger than the food itself. So I'm going to go very easy here. I'm going to take 3 little leaves of turnips. There you go. And then just to balance my plate and make it a little more visually appealing, I'm going to add some height. Okay, height is always very attractive when we talk to presentation. So, for example, I can take a simple piece of chive. Whoops. There you go. I can take a single piece of chive and just hang it on the plate like this. Whoops, I'm shaking a bit. It's early in the morning. There you go. So you can see that now that plate, you have that beautiful plate here. It's going to be a lot more attractive, and you're going to want to eat a little more than just this, right? So very simple things, right? So like I literally, I didn't invent the wheel here. It's very simple. I put like 3 things together. It's just a matter of how we make it look. When we talk about having a party and introducing people to macrobiotic or different types of food, making them look good is very, very important. All right, that is done with that. Let me pull that away. Now another tool I want to show you is, and that's very cool if you want to plate stuff, and that's very easy to use. So, little example. So I have that little sauce here that I made yesterday, just a bunch of vegetables, sweet potatoes, and things like that, and just a little sauce. So if I want to put sauce on the plate, let's say by example, I want to put a little guy right here, which is a little rice patty with beets. Oh, so you see right there, the problem that we have, right? Rice patty and with beets and red plate. Now I don't see it anymore. Oh, see the difference right there? Okay, again, like very important to choose your background when you do something like that. So there's different ways. I could put the sauce in dollops and just make little dollops on the side, right there. Okay, that's one way of putting the sauce. Then I can take my spoon and just start with a big blob and stretch it. That's another thing that you often see in classy restaurants. It's starting to be a little outdated though. It is kind of what I like the most doing with these kind of things is you're gonna take a blob, you're just gonna make a blob, and you're gonna use one of those tools. So those tools are awesome. They cost like pretty much nothing. You can find them in the pastry shop, cooking shop, whatever you can find around online, whatever. They're very easy to find. And they have different ending, so you can make different shape and different height. So there's different, size of it and types of it. And then I'm just gonna take my spreader here. I'm just gonna do this. There you go. So now I can put, say something like this. So now I have like, see the difference on the 3 looks, right? Look right there, look right there, look right there. So it's 3 very different looks, and depending the style of what you're plating, you want to use one of those more than the other. Another tool you can use is change plate so we can see correctly here. So another tool I like to use is what I call the airbrush. Right, so it just literally picks like this, and I can do the same thing. So, by example, I'm going to make a line this time, and I can take this, and I can do waves. Something like that. And then I can take my patty, just that, go right there. So for example, right there, that's already a lot of fun. And then I'm going to use again, those organic forms to propel that. So again, like increasing the contrast. On a bigger plate like that, you can use little bigger decorations, right? So that would be an example of how to do that. One of the things also I really like doing is adding other organic forms which are actually edible. So all of that, always make your decoration edible. I often see going to, what's the yellow stuff? What yellow stuff? Oh, this yellow stuff. This yellow stuff is just a little sauce that I made with sweet potatoes, some onion. There was a couple of parsnip in there and a turnip, and I just cooked that for a while with some garlic, and I blended it with a little kuzu as well. It makes me that very nice, thick mustard consistency sauce. Is this kind of thing that I do every day, and that's the kind of stuff that you use your chunked vegetable. Yes, anybody? I hear somebody. No. No problem. Okay, so that kind of stuff that you can do every day, just bunch of vegetables all together in a pan, cover it with water, blend it together, season it, And it's important to make this kind of thing because they balance out your meal. Recipes. So that's always a good one, Audrey, because I don't use recipes. I haven't used a recipe in 20 years. I think recipes put people in boxes. And I think expressing food is much easier when we just go and do trial and error by themselves. That's why it's important to have a community and, like, you know, listening to classes, listening to people that know how to cook, and create those bonds with the people that we have around us so we can all progress together. I think I make recipes with only ingredients. I never put any amounts with them. So, by example, if you want the recipe for this, my recipe is brown rice, beets, brown rice and beets, and then I just cook the beets, just shredded the beets, cooked it very fast, sauteing in a very high flame, tiny bit of sesame oil and salt. I just cooked that until they were like al dente kind of a thing. I put that in my food processor. I process this. I put some golden rose brown rice that I had. I kind of like half brought it in the food processor as well. I mixed all that together. I put a little bit of tahini. I put some salt. I put some thyme in there. And then I added just flaxseed egg. So if you don't know how to make flaxseed egg, you literally just take ground flax seeds, you grind flax seed, you put hot water with it. And just a real touch, maybe like for the whole batch, I had like a dozen of those patties. I put like maybe a tablespoon of masa flour to kind of like finish, stick it up together. That kind of like give you that very nice, rich patty that's very powerful and good for blood sugar, good for all this kind of energy, good for liver, all that fun stuff. So, and I just like, you know, gently baked it and not very high in the oven, and just until it dries out enough. It was already cooked anyway. I just need to like being together. I mixed everything while it was hot though. I like making patties and things like that with when the elements are still hot because they expand a lot better. They're gonna mix together a lot better. It's like when you put a dressing, by example, on a bean salad. You want to do that while it's hot, right? Because while it's hot, everything, all the fibers open. You're gonna put the seasoning in there, and then it's gonna concentrate into the vegetable or the bean that you're putting it on. Is gonna really like enhance that flavor. And instead of having something coated with a dressing, you have that one energy that we're looking for. Getting one energy means getting one frequency, and one frequency is a lot easier for the body to tune to than having a whole bunch of different things going on. So we also recommend, you know, like kind of like eating right and left, like eating, like first eat your patty, you know, finish it up, then go and eat your beans, you know, and then go and start to eat your vegetable, then finish with the lighter stuff at the end. All those things are, I mean, we can do another class for it. It's another topic, but separating your food, making them look cool, makes a difference in the way that you absorb it. Right? There's a different energetic value to spending the time and bringing the vibes into making something look good, look appealing, instead of just stacking it all up on the plate. And it really doesn't take long. We're talking about a few seconds, and maybe, okay, you had to wash an extra spoon and maybe an extra tool. So even when you're at home and you have your meal ready and you're plating it, maybe you're for your family, maybe that's cool to, like, you know, instead of taking always the same old bowl, but come out with the stuff that's in the back of the closet, you know, and like you use for special occasion, because every day is a special occasion, and those times are reminding us of that. You know, we all do like all those things, and we have those special occasion, and every day is a special occasion. Every day needs to be celebrated. And why not starting by making our food look awesome? Because 3 times a day, 4 times a day, whatever, how many other time we eat, then we sit up in front of something that we have brought energy into, and that's going to feed us into a different level than just the physical aspect of it. All right, but I digress. I can talk about this thing for a long time. Let's get back to things you guys actually want to see. All right, so I'm going to show you how to make a green roll, right? Making a green roll is very easy. People are always scared of it. Very simple. So I have there collard greens. So the only thing I have done to those collard greens is you can literally just take the collard green, right? And see the vein right there. I'm just going to lift the vein. Here we go. I'm just going to separate that. And then I'm just going to steam this, and that's going to give me like a good base to start with. So I already steamed mine. And here we go. So I'm going to take those color greens right there. I'm just going to line them up. So I want to see the outside of the leaf, you know, that inside of the leaf, or I want to see that. I want to see that on the outside. So I'm going to put it upside down, right? Just it looks a little better. And just little parentheses, you see the difference of color on those two? Right. That's how nature tells you, hey, I'm ready to be eaten. There's always a color shift when the vegetable is ready. And you can see that this is nice and green, but it sees a little dull as a color. And when we pass on that, he has a lot more vibrant, more full of life color, right? And all vegetables do that. Every single vegetable will slightly shift color. So depending on the vegetable, you can get more drastic or not. For sure, if you do a turnip, it doesn't change that much because there's not that much variation of white. But when you talk about green, you know, there's a difference. So look at your food, right? If it looks good, probably it's good. Very simple. You know, Mother Nature did things very well, and things are very simple when we talk about food. There's nothing complicated about food. People make it complicated. Right? There's nothing complicated about that. There's stuff coming out of the ground. You bring some love to them. They come out of the ground, and then you pick them up, and you make them look cool, and you have it. It's pretty simple, right? So here we go. I'm going to keep lining up those leaves, right? So I always have a right part and a left part. I'm just going to come back, and you can see I'm like putting about an inch over for my greens. All right, so I always keep your greens nice and crunchy, yeah? If your greens turn army green, they're overcooked, right? If they're nice and soft and you can kind of like chew them like a gum, they're overcooked, right? It's important to keep them nice and firm. You're kind of gonna have to chew them. You know, you want to have to do a little work on green. That means that it's good and powerful, right? All right, so I'm just lining up more greens now in the other direction. Cool. So at that point, I can obviously like take whatever I want in there and put it in there, but just for fun and because I really like that because it looks awesome. I have some red cabbage here. It's actually a sauerkraut that I call the Red Baron, and it's red cabbage, beets, and garlic that I've pickled for a month. All right, so I have some of that right there. I'm gonna take some of this. I'm gonna line it up in the center, right there. Okay. Okay, so that's gonna give me again a nice contrast of colors, and then I can add another just for fun in there. So just we're scaling in there. Put it in the middle. Here we go. All right. So this is the same technique when you do sushi, right? So rolling is always the same thing. So when you separate your thumb for the rest of your hand. So I'm gonna put the two thumbs under the mat. It's an important one. Then I'm gonna hold here. If I have anything that's gonna move, if I have a bunch of stuff like this, I'm gonna just go over, okay? And I'm gonna hold the mat on top and I'm gonna pull so I can tighten my roll. That's where the whole work is done. That's where you make a good roll or not, right? At the beginning right there, I'm tightening it up, right? Then I'm gonna pull out the edge of the mat, right? Because I don't want it to go in the roll. I'm gonna use my two fingers here. I'm gonna go forward, and with my left hand, I'm gonna roll in the same time like this. I'm gonna hold the mat like this, right? So I'm just pulling the mat at that point. So now when my roll is over, it's finished here, I'm gonna bring it back to the edge. Oops, see it's opening here. I'm gonna bring it back to the edge here. I'm gonna roll it so I can have nice and round. Then I can just open it. There we go. All right. So that's important at that point to have a very sharp knife. If your knife is dull on that one, you're just gonna mess up your roll at the point. You're just gonna fall apart. It's gonna rip through it. So, you know, nice sharp knife will do the trick. And I can just make slices. You're gonna make them big enough so you can hold them, but not too big that you have a whole bunch of food in your mouth at the same time, right? Those are finger food. So we wanna keep them on finger size. You're gonna be able to eat that in one bite. So again, I'm gonna use a contrast plate here. You know, I can just put my roll right there.
Okay, oops. Make a little flower thingy. There you go. Then I'm gonna use, for example, that little guy is gonna give me some height and some organic color in the same time. This is a little basil flower. Basil. There's two types. When you eat basil and you let it go, grow basil and you let it go to flower, it kind of like change taste a little bit. So always make 2 plants of basil. I make one that don't let go flower and is sweeter. Then take one that has flower, and this one is going to be a little sharper, a little more bitter on that one. Okay, so we have some green. We have already plenty of green here, so that's why we're going to choose another color to make it look cool. So right now, since it's spring, one of the great things that I like using is our friend the daikon. So at this time of the year, we can get purple daikon, and those get cute. Seriously, you just want to eat it just looking at it, right? So like, you know, that's the kind of things that you can find around in the spring, right? And I'm gonna use some of that. So again, so that's why I can use again my tool and make little side with it. Go like this. Do something like this. Nice and thin. And then we can put them in the back of each slice. And we'll increase the depth of what we're looking at, right? So as you can see, alternating color really give that impression of depth, or that feeling of depth, right there, okay? Very simple. Or we can do something like, so to do that, you really need a sharp knife. You can do that on anything like apple, radishes, anything like that. And we're gonna cut our little triangle into it, hold it right there, and we're gonna cut slightly larger one right there, about 2 millimeters from it. And now I can pop the first triangle that I made. Now a little thing like this is gonna again give some depth and some movement to the plate. Where you always want to have something, especially if you do something round like that, you always want to have something out of place. Something needs to be coming out and give an accent to your food, right? It's the same concept of yin and yang balanced as the food itself, right? There is always a balancing act. There's always a balancing element. That's why if we put whole grains, we always want to add something to balance it out. But the balancing act for whole grains would be something lighter on top, something more like, you know, little sprouts, a little bit of greens, little parsley, little thing like that. That's really gonna help lift it up and balance that yin and yang part of your food. The same thing with food presentation. We want to have different things like that to really like lift up the color of it. Then, all right, I have more stuff to show you. I can't show you stuff like that for hours. Let me get that out of the way. If anybody has any question, I can always answer a question when I'm doing something, so don't hesitate. Go. Right. Next. I already talked about making a nice thin cut that allows you to bring a completely different depth to your food. If you take, by example, something like as simple as a cabbage, right? Simple as a cabbage. So I can do my cabbage and, you know, get it like this and put it in a bowl. There you go. That's cabbage salad. It's not very great. Well, we don't want to eat it right there. But if I take my cabbage, and take that cabbage, and I'm really gonna take. So I know I make it look easy or whatever. I've been doing that for 30+ years, guys. I do that every day. If you do, it's always the same. You look at it and you go back to like, you know, the beginning of the lesson. That's the same movement. I haven't changed at all. I've been doing the same every day for 30 years. So as you go, you'll be able to obviously get more comfortable with it and to get like nicer and nicer cut. But there's no shortcut for that. You're actually gonna like, you know, do it and train for it. It's like anything else, you know, always hear people say, I can't do that. Yes, you can. Everybody can. And it's just a matter of training for it, right? Just take the time, and as you go, you know, it's just gonna get easier and easier and faster. And there's also a huge advantage of cutting things correctly. you don't get tired, right? Your arm is not about to fall off right there, something like that. All right, take some of the bacon again. Okay, make a nice thin cut too. Right. Just gonna mix those guys together. There you go. And then I'm gonna take a bowl of contrast, but not too much, because it's nice and it has a nice feeling to it. So I'm gonna take you up right there. I'm taking some of the cabbage right now. Right. See the difference? You wanna eat this? I do, right? It looks awesome right there. And it's just a matter of like taking the 10 seconds or whatever it's gonna take to cut it. May take you a minute at the beginning, may take you 5, but you have 5 minutes. You know, just turn off the TV and you'll see you have 5 minutes. It's not a problem at all. All right, so just take the time to make your food look good. All right, do I have time to do something else? Yes. I know, it's complicated to pull out of the way. Sorry about this. All right, I saw a question popping out. What are the best knives? That's a good one. It's a very personal choice. So there's obviously rules. Knives like this are usually stainless steel. This one is not. This one was a gift from my son. He came back from Japan last year, and he had that made for me. It's a beautiful knife, but it's actually just steel. So every time I use it, I have to, like use a little sand thingy to scratch it and take out all the rust out of it. That's normal. I use lemon on it or thing like that. Those are going to be stainless steel, or if you do, there's a brand, there's a certification that's called NHS, and that is two lines of steel, stainless steel, and in the middle of it, a line of blue steel. So that's going to give you a knife that's going to last forever, literally. So if you get an NHS knife, it's going to last you literally the rest of your life. For this kind of knife, I am partial to 2 different brands. The first one is going to be Wusthof, W-U-S-T-H-O-F. And the other one is called Deglon, D-E-G-L-O-N. And both of those, one is German, one is French. And on that style of knife, the Europeans make the best knife. On that style of knife, the Asians do the best knife there is around. Some of them can go crazy. You can find some cheap one. This one is a cheap one. I think I paid like $30 for it. I had it for years. It works very well. I use it for a little vegetable here and there, and that works well. Some of them can go like upward to like $2,000-3,000 if you get one very well handmade one. It's like that's $1,000 knife. That's ridiculous. Just for that, and that's my little guilty pleasure. I love knives. They're fun to have at home. Having a sharp knife is very important, and I just saw a question popping about sharpening. How often do you sharpen it? When it's dull. So I always keep it sharp. Just keep it sharp all the time. So if you use it every day, I like using sharpening rods also to just like give a little thing like that every time I use it. But sharpening, I would say that I sharpen my knives. I rotate in between 3 and 4 of those, and I sharpen them about like once a month and a half, maybe 2 months. So I would say like, altogether in between 2 and 3 weeks for a knife, and I use it every day. Again, same thing, if you cut correctly and you don't break, but you actually cut and use the length of your blade, your knife is gonna stay sharper a lot longer because you're not trying to press against the hard part. You're really using what that blade's made for, and that blade is an extension of your arm. When we grab the knife on the right hand, there's different technique, but I always recommend grabbing it like this. Yeah, I should go that way so you can see better. There you go. Always grabbing it like this. So I have my finger kind of like around the neck of it, right there, right? And then the rest of my fingers are here just supporting it. I'm looking here. And it's really an extension of your arm. At the beginning, I find a trick also that can be helpful is putting your index finger on the blade. So you can really feel where the blade is at. So you can understand, and so your knife really starts here, right? You can see the beginning of the knife, your knife starts here. So from there on, this is one piece. I'm gonna count it as one piece. This is just in the same time as your hand. It's an extension of you. It's how you feel, and you can channel all the love that you wanna put in your food, all the intention that you wanna put in your food. When you cut for something, bringing an intention and vibing whatever the intention and the purpose you're cooking for or who is an important part of cooking, is the main important part of cooking. being present, being attentive to what you do when you cook is important. Cooking is a privilege. You know, I know many people don't see us like that, don't see it like that, because they say, oh, I have to do all that. But it's a privilege because since we are what we eat, every time that you put something in people's mouth, you're influencing on who they are, who they can be. You're here to develop. Cooking is a privilege of being able to develop everybody's potential, right? It's not a matter only of healing, it's a matter of developing your potential. And when we cook with that idea in mind, when we bring something to the table with the purest intention of being it to be, this is gonna improve who you are. That's an important thing. And that's a very important ingredient of cooking. So just be conscious when you cook, you know, and that doesn't mean, you know, I know plenty of people that don't talk when they cook, don't listen to music and want to be in a meditative state. I admire that. Literally, I can't do it. I love movements and I love life, and I like, you know, movements around me, and I play music when I cook and I talk, but I'm conscious, I'm here, I'm there, I'm now. Every time I put a carrot on the board, he has a function, he has a purpose, and I'm strengthening that purpose just by being present. Right. I saw another question, but it went too fast. What was it, Ginette?
I'll find it for you.
I missed it.
The movement on a sharpener. What kind of sharpener do you use? Please show your sharpener. How do you sharpen your lifetime knife?
So,
what do you use to sharpen it? How often? Okay.
All right, so I use two things. Sadly, they're just not in my reach right now. I didn't expect that question. My apologies. I use a sharpening stone, and you can just go on. The best way to learn how to use a sharpening stone, go on YouTube. There's plenty of people that show how to use a sharpening stone, a little square layer. I'm sorry, I don't have it handy at the moment. And you just use those. They're like little water stones, and they're great. You're gonna mess up a little bit at the beginning. The first few times, your knife might not be as sharp as could be, but you'll get used to it. You know, like it's gonna come fairly easy. What else? What was the other question?
I think that was it. One person asks if you use machines to cut with.
You know, I will use a food processor and I will use a blender. Other than that, the food processor, I use only the S blade on it. And I will just, like, you know, mash things around, things like that. The blender, obviously, to make things smooth. Other than that, no, I'm not a big fan of machines. I'd rather do it by hand. I think it has a much better feel to it. I try to avoid using electricity altogether when I cook. So, you know, the only thing I'm using is, I said, just the blender and that. I don't use a microwave. If you have a microwave at home, give it to somebody you don't like, because that's about its only function. And get rid of it, throw it, like make a boat anchor out of it, make a planter out of it. That's a good way to start your first planter. You know, just flip over a microwave, get rid of the door, and plant some stuff in it. That would be a lot more helpful. Do not use a microwave. The microwave doesn't save anything. It doesn't save time. It definitely doesn't save nutrition, right? It is a lot faster to just take a steamer basket like this. Have your steamer. My steamer is on my stove all the time, right? I change the water twice a day, and I rinse it twice a day. But other than that, like, the steamer is on the stove all the time. Steaming is very cool stuff because you can just take your plate, make your plate of food, and just put it in the steamer, and just put that for like 2 minutes in there, and you come out and your plate's ready. Up, no dishes. It's already set up, whatever you want. So whenever you want to warm stuff up, steamer is always a great bet. If you have something that's more liquidy, then you're totally fine to put it back in a pan, add a little water, things like soups, things like that. You can always put it in a pan. Rice goes very well in the steamer. If you have like leftover rice, put it in a cheesecloth even. Put it in a cheesecloth, put it in the steamer for like 2-3 minutes, and it comes right back up, right? And it really wakes it up. So when you do leftover food, which I do very, very often, like, because I don't have time to cook like 8 hours a day either. And so, you know, I eat the same thing, like maybe like 2-3 days in a row for the long cook stuff. And then I will add the short cook stuff
as I go. So like, all my greens and things like that, I just go in the garden and pick them, I eat them. That's it. Like you can't do any fresher. But things like rice, for example, if I don't want to cook rice every day, if I don't have time, if I'm at home, it's not a problem. If I'm busy around, moving around, then I make a pot of rice, and it's going to last me 3 days. And then I'm going to take a bit of that rice, put it in the steamer, warm it up. That's method number 1. Method number 2 is just take it out an hour and a half before you're going to go eat. And just take your leftover out so they can warm up a bit, and make sure you chew them very well, right? It's important to like things up and so we can absorb them. So it's the same thing. Everything we're doing when we're cooking, we're improving the capacity of digestion and absorption. That's what cooking is, right? It's allowing us to get all those food, all those elements that we get all over the plant world, and allowing us to actually absorb them. Because if we try to just take rice like that and just right off the plant and chew it and eat it, we're not going to get much nutrition out of it, because we're not going to break it down properly. So that's why we soak it, that's why we cook it, that's why we have the kombu, that's why all those things, that's why we take some time, that's why we spend the time and bring some attention to it. So all that beautiful energy that comes right off the ground is at that point what is called bioavailable. And there's a lot of transformation that happens in between the plant itself and our cells. And the more of a break we can give to the body, the more we can cut down on those transformation, the better it is, because at that point, the body has more energy to heal, and regenerate, and be active, and be creative, and all that fun stuff, and actually enjoy life, right? It's important to have like all those things so we can actually enjoy life. I'm completely running out of time. I was gonna show you how to roll sushi. You guys wanna take me like 5 minutes so I can do sushi too, or wanna put everything to like Jeff? Okay. All right. So making sushi is always a cool one. Everybody loves little rolls. Rolls are just attractive altogether visually. So I'm gonna take some nori. Alright, so I do one out. Oh, this one's not cooked. My apologies. Take another one. Can do that with raw nori, but it's a pain. Literally, it just never stays together. All right, so sushi, we have 2 sides to that little guy. There's a shiny side right there, and then there's a lot more rough side, right? Shiny side at the bottom, right? Rough side on top. Okay, next. I need my rice. So to make a good sushi rice, it's very simple. Yeah. I just made this one, it's barely cold, but make good sushi rice very simple. You're gonna take 1 cup of brown rice. I use golden rose brown rice for that. I think that's the best. You can use short grain as well, but medium or golden rose is I think the best for that. And then for each cup, approximately, I'm gonna use 3 tablespoons of sweet brown rice into it. All of that was soaked for 24 hours. It was cooked for 45 minutes, same as usual. It gives you like that very plumpy, and you can see it's already sticky by itself. It kind of like stays in because it has a sweet rice in it. So it's gonna make a nice rice to like being able to compact it properly, right? So we're gonna take the rice here. Ideally, you wait for it to be completely cold. Mine is still a little warm. You don't have time to cool off, but that's okay. We'll make it work. All right, so the trick is you want to feel like, as much as you want. I've seen people make jumbo rolls and things like that. I personally think like, this kind of size as usual, like, this kind of like bite size works fine. I don't like having a half piece of sushi roll in my hand. I want to put the whole thing in my mouth and just eat it at once. There you go. So here's the trick is, as you can see, I'm not putting rice everywhere, right? That last quarter right there is gonna stay with nothing at all. All right. Then we need to lift that up a little bit. So we have our, we have our metal, we have our water there. Let's bring it up from our water to 3 and bring some umeboshi. All right, so I have a beautiful umeboshi plum here that a friend of mine makes. There you go. So I'm just taking a bit of umeboshi. So when I take a plum like this, and I don't want to have like big chunks throughout the sushi, I want it to be like fairly evenly spread. So
the first thing I do is I'm gonna make like 2 or 3 incisions on it like this, so I can cut the skin. Then I'm gonna take my blade, I'm gonna apply pressure to it, I'm just gonna squish it. There you go, I got like beautiful umeboshi paste. I'm gonna take this, and I'm just gonna spread it around. A little bit shiso olive in there, that's fine too. Right. Alright, so now it's nice and spread around. Now what are we gonna put inside? We have carrots right there, so it's pretty. Okay, so carrots are always pretty. So this is the only case where I cut the carrot that way. Usually, you know, we always tell you guys to cut a little bit of a bias so we get more of a yin-yang balance out of the carrot and kind of put in a bias like this. This is the only case I am not, because I'm only in sushi and I want it to be like the same the whole way. So again, if you'd rather cut it the other way, that's totally fine. It's just a little harder to it. So since we're talking about, you know, parties and make it something that, you know, it's gonna be cool for everybody, then I'm gonna use the carrot and I'm gonna cut it lengthwise right there. Right, so that's why I want, again, that's why I want a knife that's big enough, long enough to be able to do this kind of thing. They look impressive, you know, and just maybe intimidating a little bit, but it's actually a much easier knife to have than a small knife, right? You're gonna do a lot more work with that. It's much easier to use. You're gonna use it. Once you use the whole blade to cut, like I'm doing there, you can have very easily a nice cut, you know, and that there's no machine that's gonna do that. That's the point, right? So if we want to do it, so I can shred the carrot too. If you really like, you're terrified about the knife, you know, just shred the carrot. It'll work too, but I think it's worth spending a few seconds once you get used to it. And don't get me wrong, it comes very fast. I actually have an example. I have that friend here. I think he joined our classes and he was 64 or something like that. And 2 years ago at camp, I called him Mr. Food Processor because he could like cut like literally almost as good as I could. I was so impressed. So it's not, you know, don't get scared by it. There's nothing hard about it. Okay, we're gonna take little scallion here. So I see often people just doing this and that's not great because now you have a big opening in your sushi due to the scallion. Since the scallion is empty, it's hollow. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna take the green part here. I'm just gonna cut it. Right. So now you can put it in there and it won't occupy space in there. Okay. I can do this. What else do I have out there? I can put, there we go, we got a little daikon here. Actually, you know what? We'll keep the daikon for the decoration. Let's put something else in there. There's always things around here. We can put some cucumber. So same thing with the cucumber. You can, you know, that's why you can use these kind of things. And like the cucumber, take the whole length of it. Don't take too much seeds. And again, I'm gonna make. So you want to make them feminine enough so it's enjoyable to chew, right? There's nothing great about biting in something that's a half-inch thick. If you have a half-inch cucumber in your sushi, it's just not that great. That's not what we're looking for here. If you want a half-inch cucumber bite, that's great. Like, you know, do something like this. That's awesome. And when we look in a sushi, we have the rice that's small, so we want everything else that kind of like match that a little bit. All right. There we go. So then we're gonna need water, right? When we do a sushi like that, you need water because you need to keep the tip of your fingers slightly wet, right? So it doesn't stick to things. So same technique. I'm gonna use those two little guys, the thumbs. I'm gonna go under, right? The fingers hold what's in the roll. I'm gonna go over it. Close it. Same technique as the green roll. I'm going to pull there. That's where the sushi happens. That's where I'm making the roll. Okay, I'm going to lift this. Then that's where the water coming in. I'm going to dip fingers in water, shake it up a bit. You just want them to be slightly wet. You don't want it to be completely soaked. And then you're going to rub a tiny bit of water on the seaweed. You're going to take your roll and the same technique. Just gonna roll over right there, pull till the end. Here we go. Roll it a couple times. And here we go. we have a roll. Ta-da. It's not exactly warm because it's still warm, but oh well, that will do. So same thing to cut it. You want to wet your blade a little bit. Slightly again, you don't want to like wet your seaweed, so then after that it becomes a messy mush, but you don't want it to stick. So, get the sushi, yes. I always like putting the ends on it. Some people don't like it. It looks sticky, personally I like it. All right, so then we're gonna have nice pieces of sushi like that. Right, yeah. It gets sticky very fast, you know, so don't hesitate to cut it again. All right. So again, then we're gonna put it on a plate and we're gonna follow the same rules we were following so far. And we're gonna go to that big black blob here to something that looks cool. All right. If any Japanese people sees me doing that, they're gonna have a heart attack. In Japanese culture, you never put the chopsticks on the plate. But I personally love the way it looks. So we're talking about decorations today. So here we go. So I have my plate now. Go put that aside for now. And I'm gonna put my sushi right here. Okay. And make a little dollop here. Then I'm gonna take what's left of our scallion. I'm gonna cut it nice and thin on the side like this. So we get this kind of like oval shape, kind of little turn. I'm gonna take a little bit of it, and if you cut it thin enough, it's gonna be kind of like nice and stringy like this. All right, so again, I'm using a contrast thing, right? I'm adding a garnish. Then I'm gonna use height. I'm gonna use here something very cool here. This is garlic chives. If you've ever seen that. So again, same thing, very easy to roll. I have mine in containers out there. They look beautiful. They smell incredible. All right, so I can bring, again, I'm gonna bring some movement into that. All right, so I'm adding the curls out of the garlic chive. And then I can bring something like olive erratic, like a leaf of kale. Then I can use a little slice of carrot here. Again, alternating colors. So that's where, like, you know, I would put like a little dish with shoyu, by example. We can do that. We can use a little pickle as well. You always see sushi served with Taekwondo pickle or something like that, or ginger pickle. Sauerkraut is also a very good one, especially if it has garlic and it's nice and strong. It's gonna help balance all that. And I'm gonna put the chopsticks right there. There we go. This is how you make a cool presentation of sushi with like literally like scraps and chunks of stuff you got on the side. You don't have to, like, you know, I mean, I have the luck of having a garden that's cool. I can have all those things, but it doesn't have to be that complicated. You can use parsley and scallions. You see what I mean? So, and cilantro. So it doesn't have to be very complicated. All right, my time is up. I'm already over. If anybody has any question, I have a few more minutes. Was there any?
Patrick, let us see you.
All right, good to see you too. And,
no, let us see you. Let us see your face.
Oh, let us see. You said
yeah.
Yeah. All right, hold on. I have to take my stuff out of the holder here. Whoops. I went down. Hold on a sec. There you go. I'm back. Can you
hey,
see
Patrick.
Hi. Patrick, merci beaucoup.
I gotta see my hands. All right, so
Patrick, I'm going to say thank you, which you've done a gorgeous class, and everyone is welcome to ask questions. We have 5 minutes or so, and then we will have our last presentation by Lucia S. on positive thinking, the system of Louise Hay. So thank you, Patrick.
Yeah, all right.
Patrick.